Welcome back for another exciting week of tearing apart a 64 Chrysler. So this episode, we're on to the back end now. As you can see while we're here, this frame is perfect. She is solid the whole way through. Those are regular holes that are manufactured in there, but we are solid. So today we're going to get these rear drums off, try to get them turned as well. But it's going to be probably a bit more work. These rear drums are on a tapered shaft, which is the axle that goes all the way in, and I think it's keyed as well. And from what I saw online, these can be quite a bit of trouble to get apart. The other thing is, we also got to get in here today, disconnect the drive shaft. It is rear-wheel drive, so we got to get that drive shaft disconnected, and we'll check out the rear end here. Hopefully everything turns smoothly once the brakes are disconnected. So we're going to get out the big puller. Actually, no. Got to get this nut off first. Well, the cotter pin, the nut, it came out pretty good. But as you can see right there, where are we at here? Right there. There is the keyway. So now, I'm going to go get the big puller, get it on here, and hopefully she'll come off. Not too much trouble. I don't want to flare the end of this shaft. That'll be a big no-no. But we'll start pulling, we'll see what happens. Well, we're all on here good and tight. Just grabbing the back lip, we're not on the back of the backing plate. So we'll hit her with the impact, we'll see what happens. Well, that was easy, because I guess I didn't quite understand what they're talking about. I thought the drum, like the front, I thought the drum was part of the spindle with the wheel studs in it, but no, it's just like a regular truck. There's a separate hub in here. So this didn't have to come off. Now it is going to have to come off in the future, but it's not coming off now to get this thing rolling. So I was able to get it off fairly easy. These brakes weren't even seized to the drums, so I'll pull these off, these shoes, then I know it's going to be free. But while I'm at it and I'm in here, I'm going to throw a bunch of never seize in here on this side and try to get them from the back the best I can, and I can soak all summer until the fall to when I'm ready to pull this rear end apart. So just pull off these brake shoes, clean up this drum a bit, then we can get it back on, so it'll be a turner. So that's all we really got to take apart for this side. just to get this thing rolling. There's movement in the axle, so the bearings aren't seized anyway, hopefully. But we'll pull the other side off, clean up this ring here, and we'll see if she's going to turn. I doubt it. I'm assuming the transmission is stuck in gear. The number one button was pushed, because it's a push button transmission. It was pushed in the first gear, so without any electronics, there's no way it could go to neutral unless someone was playing with it after the fact. But also, just it's sitting there, I have very little faith that the transmission is going to turn. So move on to the other wheel and see how that comes off. So we got the other side off. This one was a little bit more trouble. Not only was the shoe ripping free from the backing, but it was so rusted out, it jammed sideways inside the drum, and actually dished out, like bubbled out the center here a little bit, because once the drum turned sideways, the center piece was catching on a little bit of threads. Now it's not flat anymore, it's more domed. So I'll probably end up replacing these, but I'll be pressing them flat for the time being just to get them back on and turning. But now for the good news. She turns. Go into the dry shaft there. The dry shaft turning, the transmission is in neutral. But it gets better. We'll do this all in one take. This here, that's your parking. Once you put it in neutral. Come back here now. She is locked. Disengage park. Spins free. I can't believe that works. That transmission is smooth. In neutral anyway. And another thing, I put a crowbar on the other side, jammed in between the stud and the hub on the ground on this side, prying on it. I cannot break it free. I don't think it's a limited slip. I think it's a posi track rear end. I'm not going to know more about that until I actually get it apart, maybe do some research, but it does seem to be a posi rear end. So I just zipped into my buddy's shop here. I think you can probably see how warped that is. It really stretched that center out. Pulled the inside here. So we're just going to put it on the press. It's not going to be perfect, like I said. I'll end up replacing these now because they are damaged, but I want to get them flat enough that I can get them on the car rolling. So we got them on these two big blocks, and this is perfect. Fits right inside there, right between the bolt holes. So we'll give that a little press and see what happens. That was entirely too easy. Trying to get the angle here, you can see that it's perfectly flat. I even put a flat edge across it. That was perfect. Probably should replace them, but I don't know. They're so thin, and maybe it doesn't really matter that much. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. We'll try to turn them down when it's time. If they turn well and they spin relatively true, maybe we'll keep them. But that's it. I pressed this one just to make sure as well, and it's all good. Just going to get a tap and a die to clean out the nuts and to clean out the stud shaft, and we'll head back to the car. Give her a little juice, especially for soaking in there. And that is good. Now let's see if that drum fits on. Like a glove. So, just get both of these sides on. Yeah, I still need to clean up threads on the other side. Tighten it down, and we'll move on. So all I was doing there is just trying to clean up this little groove right in the edge where the rim's gonna sit, or the drum's gonna sit, sorry, just to make sure that it's sitting flat. And the test fit my nut, everything's good. So we're gonna put the washer back on the nut, then we'll throw the rim on. Sorry, the hub. So got both hubs back on. They're turning good. And that dry shaft is turning good as well too. Now, I did notice this has a special feature. See the brake line here? And the other brake line? Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi brakes. So, unfortunately, that's about it for now. The tire shop is closed. It is Sunday. Saturday was a rain day, so I was rained out, so I couldn't do much. So I'm going to get the tires switched over to the other rims, get them on so I can get this thing rolling. And I got to figure out a way to hook my tractor up to this so I can move it easily. Now this car does have a trailer hitch. So originally I was thinking I'd be able just to make a pin for my 3-point to hook onto the hitch here and lift it up. But when I get under here, I don't know what you would tow with this, but this is only like 2 inches wide, not even a quarter thick, this little channel. And it is already bent from something, and it shoved itself up into the gas tank at some point. There's quite a dent there in the gas tank. And then there's these 2-inch, and this might be a quarter inch as well, tied on by one bolt. And the center is just got a couple screws, not even real bolts, screws going through to support it off the bumper. And then the bumper is maybe 3/16, not quite a quarter. So she's definitely not holding anything. Now, the rear frame does go all the way behind the bumper. So maybe there's a way I can get a piece of 2x2 steel or something up in here, even temporarily. There's all kinds of holes that I can bolt through to and bolt a chunk on so I can kind of like extend it. I can make the hitch come from the original out to a 2x2 steel, then across, and then I can hook onto it and lift it up. So, 2 things. Never underestimate the strength of a 1/2-inch bolt. And 2, it ain't stupid if it works. There's no way I can mount anything underneath this bumper that I would trust the weight of this car to. Going forward, I do want to have a hitch on this, but I'm going to have to make something a lot better that extends a lot further up the frame rails than what's under there right now. But this works good. I can get most of the weight off the back end, so it works good to roll it around, move it out of the way, cut the grass that was underneath of it. And we now have 4 rolling tires, a turning transmission, a transmission lock, our doors open, trunk opens, the hood is off. But my next step is to get those hinges working well. And if you remember, I have to weld in a plate on the inside of this hood here because it ended up rotting right off. So that's going to bring an end to this video. I have basically made all my goals. Doors open, and she's a roller. So now it's onwards and upwards. The next thing, I might start pulling that old carpet out of the inside and just try to get the smell out. She's thick. Oh, she's a tough breathe inside there. And any luck, maybe I can find a build sheet under the front seat. And now that I can get this back end up nice into some room, maybe I'll pull that fuel tank and see what's on the other side of that. So again, and as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Thumbs up is always greatly appreciated. We'll catch you next week.